Jaguar the band dog. We live, baby. Students of the Dog Game, episode 1. We were supposed to start at 8:15, but we're going to start a little bit later. So, for those who don't know, Jaguar the Band Dog is my channel. My name is Jalik the Student. So, students of the Dog Game, we just here to learn. That's it. We're students. We're going to share information. And the first topic I want to talk about is pet class breeders and also working class breeders. And let's just get right into it. If you're getting your dog from a reputable breeder, make sure they have some form of guarantee. Now, pet class breeders, and when we say pet class, we just mean people that just getting the dog for, they just gonna walk the dog. They're not gonna really necessarily work the dog. They just walk it. They might play fetch with it. They're not necessarily getting the dog to perform a task. That's the pet class. Now, the working class, you're getting the dog to perform some type of work, whether it's weight pulling, they're hunting, they're doing protection, they're doing dog sports, they're hunting. There's all types of retrievers that hunt. There's so many different. You're buying a dog for vermin control, predator defense. These are working class. Now, if you pay attention, there's always a major conflict. There's always a major conflict between the pet class and the working class. So I'm gonna get into that a little bit, and then also I want to talk about in the dog game how to overcome lack of experience, because a lot of times people talk about I got this experience, I got this experience, but if you was just had less experience than somebody, you can catch up to a person with more experience and even surpass them based on a few things I want to mention. So there we go. So let's just get right into it. So you searching for a dog, right? You doing your research. You say, okay, I want this particular dog, right? You reach out to them. Say you want a German Shepherd. Now we know German Shepherds, they sell them in the show line, which, you know, people still get the show line, pet class, or they got the working line. So say if you're looking for a German Shepherd and you're not necessarily working it, right? You reach out to the breeder. You reach out to the breeder and you start to ask questions. Now, we all know that when you buy something from somebody, a dog, you're kind of building a relationship with the breeder. So hopefully the breeder has lifetime support. That doesn't mean you just text them all the time, but if you had a question about your dog, you should be able to reach out to your breeder to get some type of information to help you raise your dog, because it's a commitment to raising your dog. Whether they live 10 years, 15 years is actually a commitment, and it also costs money. So that's one thing that you should definitely have as if you're looking for a potential dog. Now, also, you want to have some type of health guarantee. Hip dysplasia, whatever dog, once you do your research, a lot of dogs be having different type of ailments. I've seen where, you know, I forget what it's called, DMT or something like that, Dobermans. Different dogs be having some some health problems. So DNA testing, if the breeder is doing that, that should help minimize that. So you definitely want to have that guarantee, right? Now, one thing I noticed too is be wary of a breeder that automatically say, oh, my dog is a German Shepherd or a Corso, they're automatically going to protect you. It's in their nature. That's a lie. El diablo es un mentiroso. The devil is a liar. That's a plain lie, and I hear it a lot. Oh, he's going to protect you. All you got to do is just bond with it. That's not true. That is not true. Like, I'm telling you, do not listen to that. That is not true. Just because your dog, just because you buy like a Great Dane or whatever it is that genetically when they first was made, and that's what the breed standard was to be protected, that doesn't mean that your dog, that they're not going to do it. And I don't know why y'all got to do better, breeders. You can't just be saying that. I don't know you trying to sell it. And that brings me also to another thing. If you're saying that they're automatically they're going to do that, I can look at you as a pet class because a real working dog breeder knows that not every, just because your parents, it's so deep that just because your parents, your dam and your sire was doing hunting, that doesn't mean that the puppies is going to do it. Some people just don't make the cut. If you got 10, if the dam and the sire, they had 10 children, 10 kids, 10 puppies, if 6 of them work, that's a great percentage. That's 60%. So what you're going to notice is a working dog breeder to know if they legit real. A lot of them evaluate the puppies and they say, you know what, this puppy here isn't really, because it's no exact, they don't know exactly, but they say, okay, based on these evaluations, I think this dog will be, that'd be a good pet, but they might not make the cut to hunt. They might not make it to hunt. And that's respectable right there. That's somebody, that's a breeder that you can respect. Now, I'm telling you, if you also find a breeder that's say if they are considered themselves working dog breeders and they marketing that every puppy that they have is going to be able to do it, that's another red flag right there. Be on the lookout for there. That's just not true. I'm telling y'all right now, if Michael Jordan and whatever female Cheryl Swoops had a kid, right? It's no guarantee that this kid is going to not just make it to the NBA, but even flourish if they do get to the NBA. That's just not how it is. There's so many different combinations of things to make sure you get to be able to accomplish your dreams. And isn't it ironic that LeVar Ball, he talked a little trash. LeVar Ball was, we're going to say he was trash at basketball. He was averaging like 4 points a game, but he has 2 sons that plays in the NBA. 2 sons that play in the NBA, Lonzo Ball and LaMelo Ball. And then he had Jello. I don't think Jello play no more. Jello don't play no more. But then you have other people, like you say, you got Dwayne Wade. He had a son, I think his name's Zaire. He didn't make it to the NBA like that. I think he was in the G League. Bronny James, that looked kind of rigged for him to play for the Lakers. But you see, to bring up another point, it's more to it than just your dam and your sire being great. It's a combination of epigenetics and training and just being lucky with your puppies. So as you research your breed, make sure you do as much research as you can and develop a good relationship with the breeder and look at those red flags. If they guarantee automatically that just because their parents was a certain way or just because they have a certain breed that naturally protects, allegedly, that your puppies is going to do that, no. Also, too, if you get a dog, because it happens to the best of them, but if a person don't stand by this, you know something wrong. If you get a dog that's super, super nervous, because what happens is, as a human, a lot of us, we suffer from, we want to be a hero. We want to fix everything. Certain things you're just not going to fix. So if your dog is a nerve bag and it's super nervous and get real scared as a puppy, you know that's genetic. That should tell you right then and there to get your money back. Now, it's up on you if you want to be a hero and try to fix that. I'm just telling you, you're wasting your time. So instead of doing that, you return that pup back to the breeder, a reputable breeder, and they give you a replacement. So those are the relationships that you should have with your breeder. If a breeder ain't willing to stand by their stuff, they're not a good breeder, y'all. I'm telling you, no matter how popular they are, no matter how many dogs they title, because what happens is it's easy to get caught up in a title game and just, oh, I got this, and this. You know what I mean? So there, let me look at some of the comments, y'all. Chris, what's happening? Shout out to my man Chris. Shout out to Ruby. Ruby doing that nose work, y'all. Ruby is a beast. Ruby is out of Cobalt and Voodoo. Cobalt and Voodoo. So yeah, so be on the lookout for that. If they telling you that the dogs, that's just a major red flag right there. And they should be testing for the hips and the elbows. They should definitely be doing that right there. What else? what else you want to look out for? Let me look at my notes. Like also too, like if you start to ask, while you building a relationship up with your breeder, and you ask a basic general question, because we know what a general question is. We're not talking about an invasive, off the wall question. We're talking about a general question that has to do with the dogs. If the breeder starts to get like real offensive and real defensive and start going off and stuff like that, and if they got like a crazy quick temper, don't do it. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. And there are scammers out there too. There are scammers out there that's taking your deposits and not giving you nothing like there. Now, speaking of working class breeders, if I'm not a breeder myself, in my opinion, people that's searching for people that's looking for a working dog is going to be harder to please than a person that's looking for a pet dog. I'm telling you right now, because if you're doing work, then that's going to require more from your dog. Because most working dogs is going to be also a pet. So they're going to be your pet and be around your house, good with your family, but they're also going to have a job. So a working dog will have more value in a sense than a pet dog, okay? So with that being the case, oh, she finding money now? That's what's up. Articles, okay. So a pet dog, let me see. A working dog, I like working dogs. So it's gonna be harder to please me than somebody else that's just looking for a dog. Oh, I just want a dog, they're cute, and they this size, and they got a certain head, and we're gonna get their ears done with some clothes on them. They're gonna be easier to please right there. So if you think about it, me personally, I don't think I could be a pet, sell pet dogs, because I like my dogs to have a job. But it's going to be harder to please people that's looking for more than just a pet. I'm telling you that right now. So if you're deciding to be a breeder, you're going to be a working class breeder, just know that you're going to have to have an even higher standard. Not saying that you got low standards because you're a pet, because you're selling pets, but you're going to have an even higher standard. And one of them too is, we talk about guarantees, we talk about health, you're going to have a performance guarantee, at least a year or two. If I spend top dot money and I want my dog to hunt birds or whatever it is that they hunting, and they can't perform, then the breeder, if they stand up, then they gotta sit by that. You know what I mean? So that's something right there too. You gotta stand by that, because it's like, what's going on? Now, of course, there's gonna be some stipulations within the breeder. That's part of your contract, and that's the relationship that you want to look for. So make sure that you're doing that right there. I'm telling you, because you don't want to be disappointed. Now, like I say, if you do buy from a working dog breeder, and they specifically tell you that this is considered pet class and there's no guarantee on the performance, then hey, because to be really honest with you, some puppies start off on fire. You look at them, they got the drives, but some puppies start off a little slower. So you might during evaluation, a puppy could get evaluated as being pet class, but they really not pet class, especially when it comes to, once again, you knowing how to build your dog up and just developing a bond. So say if you get a dog that's real fire and you don't really put no time into them, and you get a puppy that's less fiery, but you put more time into them, that less fiery dog can potentially equal themselves for the fire dog, or even surpass them, just based on what you do with the dog as far as just spending time. Like Chris he doing nose work. All those little things right there build up your dog confidence. When your dog can find articles and things like that, the bond becomes amazing, and their confidence carries over. And the one thing about confidence, it carries over to different fields. So if you got a dog that's doing article search, and just say if you want to, whatever else you want to do, you want to do agility, they're going to have that confidence, because they already got a foundation of confidence because they using their nose. So that's why it's good to expose your dog to different things, and nose work is one of the best right there, which I love. So yeah, that's basically it right there on the pet dogs. Look at the red flags. If they just guarantee because I got a Aubrey County courses, they're gonna protect you automatically. No, I got a German Shepherd, they're gonna protect. It doesn't work that way. All dogs ain't built like that. It takes a lot of courage from a dog standpoint to have the nerves and the confidence to really, really protect you like that. Now, it's different levels of protection. You can be just a deterrent where you just bark and put on a display too, because technically that is a form of protection because that does give you some extra time. But the real protection that'll be like, yo, it's a different level of a dog that needs to do that. And you need to not be duped and believing that, because you're gonna be disappointed. Because if you spend your money, because a lot of people spending money, 15,000, and their dogs ain't up to par. They just playing games, And also too, I wanted to point out too, if you buy your dog, if you got to be real specific too. If you're trying to get a protection dog, and a breeder tells you like, oh, this such and such dog, he does sports, he'll be good at it. That's not necessarily the case, y'all. I seen a video the other day. That's not necessarily the case because a lot of times with those sport dogs, not all of them, because some of them can do it. So don't talk crazy. A lot of them is just playing a game. I seen a video. I felt so bad yesterday. I seen it on Instagram. I forgot what it was. I forgot who put it up. But man, they was just, all they care about was going after the toy. They wasn't after the man at all. So it's like, man, I felt so bad because a lot of them, and that dog could have got titled, and that dog could have got sold for 25,000. Shaka, stop, Becky. She could have got sold for money. So that's something that you want to be real specific to. Now, if you get a and also the same could be true too. You could be looking for a sport dog, and a person can have protection dogs, and they might know how to protect you real good, but they might not have the extra drives and the extra oomph that it needs. Chakra, cut it out. I'm sorry, y'all. I usually don't have her in here with me. And that goes the same thing. So when you speaking to your breeder, make sure you're real specific on what you need, what you want, and make sure you have it in writing. That's why it's good. Of course, you want to talk to them in person, but have stuff in writing because you don't want to be disappointed. And like I said, the main thing is to be clear on what you want, because a lot of times people don't know. What's up, Kyle? What's happening? Genetics, natural, build, train, access. Yeah. But the thing is, Shaka, what you doing, baby girl? You know how we tell. Come here. Come here, baby girl. So, why are you biting me, baby? Why are you biting me, girl? Yeah, so that's something that you want to do. Like I said, just because you have even spit bulls, just because you have such and such grand champion, transient champion, that don't mean that this pit bull is going to be able to handle coyotes. They got to be tested, or even handle pigs. You get what I'm saying? So you can't go off that. So those are the red flags you want to look for. And there are reputable breeders out there too. You can't let a few scammers, Chakra. You can't let a few scammers mess the dog game up and have you thinking that every breeder is out to get you and everybody is scamming you, because that's not true. It's some people out there that that's real reputable and stand by their stuff. Now, I also wanted to, Chakra, what are you yo, you know how as a little kid when your mom got on the phone, they want to just do stuff? Chakra, Becky, come on. I lost my chain of thought. Yeah, so we talking about the guarantees. Make sure you know what you want. And what else? Yeah, make sure, but that's the main thing. Just make sure you know what you want. And and make sure you put together a team too. So if you're not the most knowledgeable on how to train your dog, make sure you look for a trainer that'll work with you and that'll maybe even teach you, or go out the limb and train your own dog and just learn. You know what I mean? And there is certain ways. Sometimes you got to be careful because you could teach your dog some bad habits too. So sometimes you got to swallow your pride and say, you know what, let me spend this extra money and get some assistance. That's why being a student is what you want to do. Being a student in the game is very, very important. And that brings me into the thing I wanted to talk about on how to overcome lack of experience. Because say if you, Chakra, say if you're a dog trainer, right? And you've been training for 3 years and you got somebody that's been training for 30 years. Just because this person was training for 30 years, that don't mean that you can't be just as good as them or possibly even surpass them. Why? Because experience is kind of relative. Like one thing I noticed is that a lot of times the longer a person been doing something, the longer they're stuck in their ways. And some people don't know how to adjust to new technology and new ways of doing it. And we all know that. Chakra, leave it. Leave it. We all, sorry about that, guys. She still act like a puppy, always into stuff. So just because a person got more experience than you, that don't make them better than you. Neither, too. And here is how you can overcome lack of experience. One, you can have an excellent work ethic. A person that's been doing something for 30 years, if their work ethic is a C, and you've been doing something for 3 years, they got you by 27 years. But guess what? If you got an A+ work ethic, along with being a student, and I'm talking about a real student, where a person that know how to analyze information and take the information that's good. Chakra, leave it. Come on, baby girl. Put you in the, hold on 1 second, guys. Come on, get on. Come on. Gotta put you in that kennel, baby girl. Got a lot of energy. Sorry, my peoples. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all help the algorithms and smash that thumbs up. So if you got 3 years, you've been doing something for 3 years, and then another trainer was doing something for 30 years, right? They got 27 years more of experience, right? But through those 27 years, that's a good thing. But they also could have that extra 27 years, they could have had a 27 years of bad habits. Bad habits. And like I said, most people are just stuck on one thing. They just, like a lot of times you hear some trainers, they like, I'm not going to use no treats at all. I'm stuck on this way. This is this. Okay, that's cool. But if you're a real student of the game, you analyze a dog and say, okay, this dog is good with treats. This can get me started, but I can fade it out. I can use my voice. I can use my pets, and I can use a combination of those things. So why not do that? But what happens is, if you're not being a good student, you're going to get stuck in a certain way, and that's going to put you in a box, and that's going to slow down your progress, which you won't be able to overcome your lack of experience because you're not being a right student. Being a right student means you can pick up certain things, you know what to use, and you know what not to use too. So that's the great thing about being a student. If you look at a situation and you be like, okay, this ain't cool, let me not use that, you actually learn something. So even if you consider a person as whack, if you see somebody on the internet and you be like, yo, they whack, they corny, what makes them corny? Then you got to make sure that you don't repeat the stuff that you perceive as being corny, so you actually learn something. So being a student, you learn that everything and everybody is a teacher if you look at it as that approach. Now that's a certain mindset, because once again, a lot of times we don't progress at the right speed because we think we know everything. We have this thing, like, I already know that, I'm not going to listen to it. So if you got that mindset, then you know everything, then what's the purpose? What you living? What's the purpose for? What's your purpose if you already know everything? So these are little small things to overcome your lack of experience. And this goes not just in the dog game. This goes, you can be an electrician, you can be a plumber, you can surpass things. And you also got to realize too, we all have certain gifts. Even if we, like I said, even if you was only training for 3 years prior to being a trainer, you could have been like a psychologist or a guidance counselor or something where you was learning how to read people and you had an amazing gift of reading people. So with your amazing gift of reading people, you transfer that one into reading dogs. And guess what? You're a student, you want to learn, and then you start to catch up. That person with been doing it for 30 years, they might be stuck in their ways. They don't care about nothing. They stuck on not giving their dog treats. And I'm all for it if you don't want to use treats, but some people just so stuck on a certain way. They like, I'm never going to use a dog collar. I'm never going to do this. They just get stuck in a certain way. That's just like, bro, just chill out. Everybody got their different styles. And it's crazy. It's crazy because those same people, it's so hard for them to accept that people train differently. They want everybody to train exactly like they do it. Why do you want everybody to train like you? Because I use treats, I use praise, I use a combination of things, and that works for me. You get what I'm saying? But I'm not going to put myself in a box and be so stuck on, I'm not going to give them no treats. Because, you know, everybody that use treats knows it speeds it up, the process, and then you fade it. Now, you're going to have to learn how to fade it. So overcoming lack of experience is the number one thing, is just being a student and just being the type of person that actually want to learn. So you gotta almost humble yourself, because when you're in the dog game, you might have like a super different opinion of certain things. So being a student, you gotta humble yourself and be like, you know what, that's their way of doing it. Because a lot of times certain information is not for you at the exact time that it came out. You ever had somebody try to tell you something, you don't listen, and then a certain situation happened, you be like, oh shit, and you be like, oh man, I should have listened. I was lunching. Because you wasn't ready for it. You didn't receive the information. Because once again, these are ways to overcome your lack of experience. And the same thing that works for the dog game works for life in general. You can overcome certain things. Like, that's just the way it goes. Like us, once again, you can be fresh out of college and be a teacher, right? And you might have another teacher that's been a teacher for 20 years. But you can come in, analyze the game, use your natural gifts, use different techniques. Because the one thing about teaching that a lot of teachers don't realize is that all students aren't the same type of learners. Some people are audio learners. Some people are visual learners. Some people are hands-on learners. And I forgot the other one. So if you've been teaching for 20 years, you might be nice, but the person that just fresh out of college might understand how to alter their teaching methods to reach people based on their best learning capacity. You feel me? So if you know you got a student, and I don't mean to get off track, but I'm just trying to explain it in a way so we can all understand. If you got a student that's strictly visual and you sitting there talking to them and it's not clicking, you're going to have to change your methods up. If somebody is hands-on, you're going to have to come up with different strategies to make sure that they do the hands-on work so that way they can grasp the information. And that's how the dog game is. Certain dogs that you deal with is strictly, they just want to hear your praise. They don't want no treats. So you're going to get into a situation that if you so stuck on treats and you don't know how to use your voice and you don't even understand it, you're going to be left behind, and your lack of experience is going to get you. But to overcome that, just understand, just read the dog. The dog will let you know. Some dogs just want to be petted. Some dogs like a combination of praise, pets, and you just use all the combinations right there. So that's just to recap. Staying humble, being a student, accepting one thing I learned, and just seeing like certain debates on the dog game, we have to accept, even though we don't agree with something, even though we might not agree with something, we still have to accept that this person is how, this is how they are, because like, once again, I've seen some people get so stuck on like another trainer and what they're doing. Like, why is this person using e-collars? I never have to use the e-collar. I got perfect recall. Okay, just accept the fact that this person uses an e-collar. But it's funny because most people want everybody to act, think, and behave exactly like them, but that's not how the world was. If everybody was supposed to act a certain way and look a certain way, that's just not the way it works. So once you get into the habit of say, you know what, it takes a while too, because if you like, man, I ain't trying to hear them. But once you teach yourself how to accept people for how they are and not try to change them, you're going to speed up fast. I'm telling you, you're going to be, because all that energy you was doing, arguing and trying to force people to think like you just accept them, learn what you need to learn. Remember, it's 2 ways to learn. You learn what to do. You learn what not to do. What to do and know what not to do. That's double the learning. And each person that you meet, whether they're a bum, whether they're rich, you can learn from both. You can learn double sides. So you can double, triple all the learning that you do if that's your goal, to want to learn. And to learn, you guess what? You gotta listen. And one thing that all humans do is a lot of times we cut each other off. But a good listener is not going to cut you off. And being a good listener too is what I've been learning too is just listen. You don't have to always give out information. You don't always have to give out advice. Everything doesn't always need your advice. Now, if you talking to somebody, I recommend to ask them, are they open to having a device? If they not, that makes it easier, because going around telling, like, say if I do something about dogs, right? Say if I go around telling people, yeah, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this, you should only feed your dog, then you're going to be more of a headache and a distraction than a valuable person, and a person that people want to get along with. So going around just giving people advice, unwarranted advice, is not a good idea. I'm telling you, because it's so challenging as a human to even develop good habits and to break old habits. You just wasting your time. A person is better off just leading by example, and that's it. And see, advice, it's like anything else. It requires timing. It requires a lot of timing, and you got to understand a person's learning style and personality type. Some people just hard-headed. No matter what, you ever talk to a person, they talk about their problems, you listen to them, but then after a while, it's like they don't want no solutions. And me, I'm like, bro, do you want a solution or not? I'm not going to keep listening to that. You feel me? But that's how some people are. They don't want a solution. They just only want to talk about their problems. Now, some people come to you, they might want some type of solution, so they're going to talk it out and they're going to ask for your opinion. So when people ask for your opinion, that's a hint that they're open to recommendations. And then you can start to communicate in a way. But if it's a person just coming out, you listen to them, the boom, you know what I mean? A person like that, actually even giving recommendation to a person like that be more detrimental, because they so stuck in their mind of what happened. And a lot of times they convince themselves that they're a victim so much that if you even give them any type of things, they're going to, huh? No, they you know how people are. Some people never hold themselves accountable. It's always somebody else's fault. So with people, that's always somebody else's fault. And I don't mean to get off on a tangent, but this is Students of the Dog Game, man. Episode 1. This is gonna get bigger. Watch. I got some amazing ideas, and we're gonna we're gonna have our impact on the dog world, because the dog world and the real world is the same but different. So I like to talk about all the different worlds into one. So these are things how to overcome lack of experience. And let me look at my notes. Y'all, before I end it. How long I've been here? 35 minutes. I'll be here a couple more minutes. Yeah, I already spoke on how you could have been doing something for so many years and it could have been the wrong way to do it. You could have been the wrong way. You could have been that's just been the wrong way to do it, you know? And then you find a new way and it's beneficial and healthier. So the person with more experience, I mean, and the people and the people with experience, you want to make sure you listen to them, even if they, you know, if a person been doing something for 30 years, you pick their brain, ask them. If they, hopefully, now the only thing about it is a lot of people is not willing to share. Well, that's cool too, because it don't matter. You'll eventually find somebody that'll share information. So those are ways to overcome lack of experience. Reading, research on your own. One thing I noticed is a lot of times people's perception and opinions be based on whatever their opinions are for so many people on the internet, but they don't have their own actual opinion. Research. There's so many books out there. And one thing I recommend is go to the library. The library. You will be surprised what you can find at the library. So not only can you get, I know in Atlanta, I don't even have to go to the library. I can just search it, and then I can put the book on hold and go to whatever library I want to go to. Or you can be old school and go to the physical library. I'd rather do it the new school. I like both ways. See how the old school versus new school? An old school person like, man, I'm not going on the internet. One of them old school people like, I'm not going on the internet. I want to go to the library. Little do they know, it's millions of books that you can get by going on the internet, and you don't gotta waste your time. So you gotta be a combination of the old school and a combination of the new school to make it the true school. Old school, new school equals the true school, and that's how we operating. So you go there, you read your books. There's so many different articles out there. I know you got artificial intelligence, and let's speak on that, because some people, that's their whole life is artificial intelligence. I kind of use artificial intelligence as Google, and it be helping me with, like, sometimes I need the manual of certain things and I just have certain questions. But you also got to go beyond artificial intelligence. If you actually have a person with knowledge and they willing to share, you got to use that as your asset, because those are what we call blessings, bendiciones, because we live in a world, unfortunately, where people don't like to share as much as they could. Everything is a competition. Everybody feel like, oh, if I give out this information, this person is going to beat me. And this goes right into the dog game. It's crazy that being in a dog game or being in a sports game is all the same. The characters never change. It's a lot of clicks. It's a lot of beefing. But with this first episode, I just want y'all to look out to the red flags. If a person is a pet, if you trying to just buy a pet and they're not guaranteed no health things or nothing, don't do it. Working class, they not doing no health things, don't do it. If they don't have a performance guarantee on your working dogs, don't buy it. Don't even waste your time. If you I wouldn't even recommend buying a dog from a person that has a bad, that's like just got bad vibes. Make sure the person that you supporting got good vibes, because a person with bad vibes, they might, I mean, how you gonna have lifetime support, but you just got bad vibes about you? You know what I mean? So yeah, to recap right there, and to overcome your lack of experience, just be a student and ask questions and just be curious. Be like a little kid. I think what happened, a lot of times, like our family and friends might have told us that question was stupid, and they condition us kind of like how we condition dogs to not want to ask a question because we don't want to feel embarrassed, and we don't want to feel like we're stupid and we're not keeping up with the consensus of our peers, and we don't want to be laughed at. But I'm telling you right now, ask your questions. You know what I mean? Because when you ask a question, you might not get the answer, but you might be in a classroom and you ask a question, and then somebody else will bring up something that's related to it, and that might open up a light bulb. So don't ever be afraid to ask no questions. I'm telling y'all right now, this is how you overcome your lack of experience. If you, like I say, you might want to be an electrician right now. So go research the electricians right now. Go to the internet, go to the books, go talk to somebody, go intern, and build up the information. And to overcome these things, you build up a work ethic. I'm telling you, a person with a A+ work ethic that's been doing something for 3 years will surpass a person that was doing something for 30 years that got a C+ work ethic. That's just the way the game goes. What you put into the world is what you get out. But leave a comment. Make sure y'all share. This is episode 1, Students of the Game. I'm gonna put up. I think Thursdays is gonna be I think I'm gonna do Tuesdays and Thursdays. So my next one is probably gonna be on Tuesdays, and then when I do my Living with Sentinels, I still do that on Sunday. So I'm still gonna be doing the interviews there. But this Students of the Game is dear to me because this allows me to just give out information like I like. Because like I say, I'm only in real life, like I say, I don't go around giving people information. I'm only doing it because this is my channel. But in real life, like if I'm talking to you, I'm not just giving you information unless you asking for it. I'm not telling you, oh, you should do this. I'm not that type person, bro. I'm not that type person. You should do this, though. You should do this, though. You should do this. No, I do not talk like that at all. Anybody know me, I don't talk like that. I talk about regular stuff, but I'm not gonna be telling you should do this. Now, if you ask me, because a lot of times, like I say, I'm gonna tell you the truth. And a lot of times, if your mind ain't developed, the truth, the truth will sound like hate to those who hate the truth. Remember that. The truth sounds like hate to those who hate the truth. So, and me, I can't lie to you, you know what I mean? But I appreciate y'all for tuning in. We've been here. Let me check the comments out. If we got any, let me see. Let's see if we got any comments before I get out of it. Does Britain shout out to Ripped Up? Yeah, he just had a breeding. Shout out to my man Britt. I just talked to him the other day. Britain, he just had Fury and Honey. Fury and Honey. Honey is a good, for those who don't know, Honey is through Frankie Bump and Onyx. She's a great producer. But if you reach out, if you interested, I get in contact with him, because when I talk to him on Monday, I'm not sure if it's going to be breeding though. But I appreciate y'all for coming in. Y'all came in on the inaugural Students of the Dog Game episode 1. So as we build up, you can say, whoa, it's going to be more people in here. I'm going to have some guests up in here, and you can say, hey, you was here for the first one. I appreciate y'all, man. Have a good night.